Hi guys, this is the final, last episode of the season for the Outlander After Show, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All right. Oh, sway for the last time. And we're swaying. Hi guys. Welcome to the Outlander After Show, Season 3, Episode 13, Eye of the Storm. I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and this is the rest of the panel.
I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at OMG. It's MLE.
I'm Tiona Hobson, and you can follow me at the Tiona Hobson.
And I'm Rachel Goodman. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Rach Goodman or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman.
All right, so this is the end.
I'm so sad.
I know.
I mean, like, I feel like I barely had time with the show. Like, you know, you give it to me and then you take a year off and then it's just like,
At least this
What am I to
time we
do?
already know they've started, like, they're still there. It's coming back. It's not going to be as long of a wait.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
more
So-
Droughtlander
Yeah.
in the same sense.
we know what's happening. So let's just jump right into it then. First thoughts.
I really liked this episode. It wasn't my favorite finale
Okay.
of the seasons, but it was still a good one. I think we got a lot of information. I'm excited to see the new, place that we end up in the next adventure for everyone to start next season. But yeah, it answered a lot of the questions I had, and it was good, but it wasn't like my favorite of them all.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I think after what they did at the end of season 2, that had me like, oh my God, I need to see this now, like to find out what happens. But this was not bad. Like, I love how they kind of tied up a lot of loose ends, and I love that Brianna was kind of involved a little bit. And I'm just glad that, I mean, they could have done other things with it that really would have pissed me off.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that it ended the way it did.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same as you guys. I liked this episode, and I liked the finale. I liked that they didn't have them split up like we kind of thought was going to happen. Like Jamie was going to go through the portal or Claire was going to go through. So I liked that they didn't have that, and I also liked how it's set up where they're going to be next season. That kind of gets us ready in a new environment, which is something I like that they do at this show. You know, we've seen them in different kind of environments, different places throughout the season. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I really like this episode. I'm not somebody who particularly enjoys cliffhangers. They kind of infuriate me because I'm always like, no, don't do this to me. When is she gonna come back? And versus me being like, oh, okay, they're gonna be in the Americas. Cool. So that's a lot calmer for me. So I enjoyed the episode, but at the same time, this was the episode I realized I was like, oh, I'm watching a romance novel. Oh, this is for real. Oh, because sometimes, it doesn't get so far into like an unrealistic space that I feel that way. But there was a particular moment, and this is what I want to talk about later, that I was like, oh, this is not. This is a romance novel because there's no way that this could actually happen.
Agreed.
But at the same time, I love it. Love romance novels. Okay, they're great. So let's just jump right off. So we start with Claire drowning, but we'll get back to that. So
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
no. So what we really start with is Claire deciding to go after young Ian after Jamie's been captured by Captain Leonard. I kind of appreciated how they handled the Captain Leonard, but let's just go straight into Captain Leonard because it's so small.
Because he's also short.
Because he's short.
Did you get it?
No, I liked that they didn't pull any punches because that's, I think, something I said last episode. I was like, well, why didn't Jamie just go directly to John Gray? Like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt about that scene, but I loved John Gray just like full on clapping back
Yes.
at Captain Leonard and making that man feel like a child is wonderful. I don't know, what were you all feeling?
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I like him more.
Right?
Yeah,
I didn't
agreed.
think it was possible. He's like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Because everything, like he could have in another book or another TV show, he could have been a jealous guy who got jealous over Claire, but instead he still, like, his love for Jamie is so genuine that he just wants to help him and would never want to cause him harm, even if it's not the kind of love that Jamie feels toward him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All I kept singing in my head was, "Don't mess with my man." Yeah, that just kept going and repeat because
or The Boy Is Mine.
Yeah, The Boy Is Mine. Yeah, because you can just see him. You know, he starts off very calm, of like, "Oh, okay, well, what do you have here?"
Yeah.
Information, right? And then he grows angry and angry. He's like, "Mama Bear protecting her cub right now," and it was great. And I agree. He's become one of my favorite characters of the series, just mostly because of his love for Jamie and the respect that he has for Jamie as well.
Yeah, and he's always had that from, you know, even the very beginning when Jamie was a prisoner there. I felt like there was just always kind of like this respect, and obviously it's a little bit deeper. He loves Jamie. Yeah. But yeah, I loved that scene. I mean, first of all, he's easy to look at, right? John Gray. So I like when he's on screen, but I just liked how he handled that, and it was kind of like he was always in control. He knew the outcome, and Jamie kind of knew that he was, you know, at ease too with him there. So yeah, I really like that. I wish they would keep him in more, but I don't think they will. Just kind of the ending, how they said bye. I mean, maybe I haven't read the book, so I don't know, but you know how he said goodbye, Jamie, and he's like, good, you know, and they said like their goodbyes. It kind of felt a little final, but I would like to see him come back. So I'm hoping that he will.
I wanted to see Jamie get to see his son again too, because we knew that they were going to come back at some. They were going to come join him at some point. Yeah. So I was thinking, this can't be goodbye.
Yeah. I know. I don't think it is. I mean, because Georgia's not that far from Jamaica.
No.
I mean, it's far, but it's not that far. But no, yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. I really just enjoyed the moment where he's like, okay, yeah, so just show me the warrant.
Yeah,
and he's like,
how about the affidavit?
Okay, do you have the affidavit? Okay, oh, I'm sorry. I keep meaning to call you Captain. But,
and at the very end, when he's just like, you know what, screw it, and he just keeps calling him Lieutenant. Lieutenant.
I loved it. It was such a nice little way to wrap up that whole Captain Leonard storyline. And we also get to hear at the end of the episode that John Gray took care of everything, so there is no warrant for him if he ever wants to go back to Scotland. I was like, oh, thank you. Just make it easy. But I'm going to do a quick plug. Did you guys know that John Gray actually has a comic book?
I didn't really?
So he has a whole storyline where he goes into... he has basically like a graphic novel for his character that they made a few years ago, and so I've never read it. I've only heard about it, but I'm using that to segue into I have a dear friend, like by the name of Brent Hubbard, who's also a colleague of mine, and he is currently creating a comic book called The Chair, and he's looking for some support online. It's at thechaircomic.com, and I'm just going to read a quick little byline or logline or blah 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 blah, whatever you call it. So. The Chair is a 5-issue full-color comic book series by new creators Brent Scott Hubbard and Tyrell Deaver. It's a comedic superhero tale which tries to answer some of life's toughest questions, such as, what is true love? What does it mean to be human? What are the limitations of women on chair sexual dynamics? We'll get there. At what velocity must a quadriplegic man be thrown against a criminal's face in order to break his nose? And more. The Chair takes place in a sprawling metropolis fraught with crime, sleaze, and personifications of present-day atrocities against humankind. Our story follows Kevin Stout, a quadriplegic man who is resigned to his humdrum life until a freak accident at a construction site exposes him to a life-changing, terraforming substance. He, unfortunately, gains no abilities by this encounter, but his mechanical wheelchair becomes conscious, incredibly verbal, and hosts a myriad of superpowers. Now Kevin is the reluctant sidekick to a newly sentient mechanical wheelchair hell-bent on fighting crime. So, that's The Chair. It sounds really weird, but it's going to be really funny. I've heard him talk about this for the past 3 years, and I hope you guys can take the time to just check out www.thechair.com, give some support, check out the Kickstarter, give some moolah if you can. He's got some really cool gifts if you do, and that's it. So www.thechair.com. Now, back to the show. Thechaircomic.com. Thechaircomic.com. Not The Chair. Anyways.
We have a lot of comments in the chat, too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. So Terry Drosselmeyer says there are many John Gray books. Elizabeth Brown, I have read them all.
Yeah.
Rosalva Cardiel, Lord John has his own novels. Eric Jackson, did he eventually become an earl? Good question. And
Earl Grey.
and Lynn Ann says, cool how they started with the drowning of Claire. Then Jamie saves the day in the middle of the storm, the eye of the storm.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there, but thank you for the comment. So yeah, we get that wrapped up, and then we get to see Claire going into the slave quarters to see if she can find young Ian. And she finds a Biku and that white guy whose name I forgot. Like their bodies basically slaughtered by Galus. I guess she had her way with them and she was done. But that leads for Hercules to come and grab her, and she has that tete-a-tete with Galus. How did you guys feel about that scene? Yeah,
I used to like Galus so
right?
It was
What
hard to watch.
happened?
She looked crazy.
Yeah.
She had that crazy eye. Why are you following? You know, she was like that suspicious person because of this whole prophecy thing. And I just knew things weren't going to end well. But it was a very interesting and long scene that I loved how long and drawn out it was. Kind of the dynamic shift in them starting as friends, and then Galus accusing her, and then kind of going back to like friends, but Claire a little suspicious of something. And it was just a good power dynamic of the two, and Claire busting out the photos of Brianna and no, Claire, you're giving too much information.
I know.
Way too much information to a woman that you do not know.
No, it's been 20 years. You don't know this person. You never really knew her.
She knew that she liked to kill her husbands. I mean, that's suspect enough.
That's a red flag right there. Yeah. And I kind of felt like it showed the difference between two people who have had this like extraordinary experience, right, that they can't really explain, and how it affects people differently, right? You have Claire who found love and is going back for Jamie, and then you have Galus who was like on some crazy power struggle that seems like she's so like in that she can't get back out with where she's trying to go. And then just to see after how she's completely turned, because the only reason she tried to be friends with Claire again is because she knew she could get something from her in turn. So I used to really like Galus too, but it kind of seems like she's not very good right now.
I used to really like her, and I never she gave her life to help Claire. So I really had a large amount of respect for her, and I wanted her to redeem herself throughout this whole thing until it was too late, and then she couldn't. And as soon as you see the deaths, that's where I'm like, okay, well, too late now. But I just
the deaths,
like that she had her way with the
boys.
friends.
The boys.
And at that point I'm like, no, there's no redeeming her. And I just didn't like the. I thought Claire, I understood why Claire would be so trusting of her because of the past. But, I was really frustrated that she was, too.
Yes, because at the same time, Claire knows that Galus is sitting here accusing her, lying to her about the reason that she's here and holding back information, when Claire knows that Galus has young Ian and hasn't come clean about that. So the fact that Claire was so trusting to give her more information was kind of suspect to me of... Claire, let's remember that she's also lying to you, but I get that her life was in danger because Hercules was a big guy.
Well, at the same time, I think for Claire in that moment, Galus didn't pose any threat to Brianna because she didn't at that moment know that the
200
Abadaway was another portal at that moment. So to tell her, I have proof to save her own life, that makes sense. I mean, I knew Galus was no good when she hopped out of a pool of blood. I was like, all right, well, whoever I thought Galus was, apparently, I guess, when I think about it now, I should have always known she was crazy because she killed her husband. And then we see at the top of this season that she killed her first husband back in the 1960s. So she's always been she's like that social justice warrior friend you have that takes it way too far. And you're like, okay, no, I believe in all the wait, stop.
Whoa.
Now you're turning to the dark side. What's happening? She's that person because she's obviously an activist in present day, and then when she decides that she's such an activist that she decides she has to go back and change history by killing her husband. And then failing to change Culloden. But she also kills another husband. Why did she kill that one? I guess just to get out of the marriage. and then and now rapes and kills young boys for her own pleasure and gain while fulfilling a prophecy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's gone. Like
She's gone off the rocker.
it's gone
she's
too
crazy.
far. So I wasn't surprised that Claire was doing what she did to try and save her life. But I was shocked at how far it had gone with Galus. I didn't think it was ever going to get that bad.
And it almost, now it sounds like Galus only saved her life because she knew that they weren't actually going to kill her because of the baby.
Oh,
That's what I think now.
back with the witch trials.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe Claire didn't need, maybe Galus was never as good as we thought she was anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe she was just never. I mean, she was always kind of weird. So this makes sense. But at the same time, especially when she was like, kill her, do what you want with her first. I was like, that? What? Who are you? Who are you? To do that to someone that you've known and, you know, and have helped in the past. But at the same time, it just really sucked.
Yeah.
So we see after, you know, Claire's kind of softened Galus, whatever that means at this point, that she's taken a picture and that she's basically told Claire she can spend the night and rest. Basically just keeping her prisoner
Gonna
until she
lock
needs
you
her
in
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have trusted that for a second.
No, and I don't think Claire did either.
Yeah.
But she sees them carrying off somebody that appears to be young Ian. And so it was young Ian, but at the same time, you know, we didn't know for sure. And fortunately, the convenience that comes up so often in this show, that Fergus was able to get to Jamie right after his tete-a-tete with John Gray and let him know that she was at the house, even though I don't believe they were supposed to know that. The man who dropped her off said, didn't she tell him not to tell anyone that she was at the house until
she did,
morning?
I think.
So maybe he did tell, but I don't know. I was kind of confused
She
as
said
to
to
how.
come, if she wasn't back, to
Yeah.
come call for her at the house in the morning.
And then I guess Fergus did have the letter, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. But yeah, Jamie is able to find the guest
It was
house.
a big house, so he
Exactly.
had to knock on a lot of doors to get the right one.
He found the
Jamie,
guest house
though.
conveniently.
But Jamie is also kind of a tracker of sorts
Yeah, that's
because he's
true.
lived in the wild and he knows how to hunt and find things. So
I'm just amazed that he was able to get past all of those slaves that keep eyes for Miss Abernathy, aka Galus. I'm just talking about it was very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
all I
fact
say.
that she couldn't open the door, you would think, I don't know, was it locked from the outside?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, why can't she break a window?
That's what I thought when she's like sees Ian. I'm like, why don't you just crack one of those windows out and at least yell out?
Yeah.
There's no security system back then.
Yeah. No bulletproof glass. I don't
but it's
know.
kind of a loud noise that would get her caught again.
Just take
But
that
if
big
Galus knows that she's escaped. I think she wanted to go for more of an element of surprise.
Take that big dress, put it
Just-
over the window, punch it.
Punch it.
Yep.
Teaching people how to break
There you go.
windows.
Yes.
Muffle it with your clothing. So they go off into the woods and they discover a group of, I guess these are free people, I assume, because they are having a whole ritual and there's an alligator on top of someone's head and they're cutting
That
open a
looked
chicken.
very real.
It looked very real.
It
I
did.
questioned many times if that was an actual alligator's head.
Yeah. Nah.
Nah, question mark. I don't know.
Peter would be like, nah.
Yeah. But it looked so real.
It did look very
Search the
real.
web for, I have a whole ritual and there's an alligator on top of
Sorry.
Siri is listening into our conversation.
Yeah. Apologies, you guys. Apparently, I said something that sounded like
Siri?
That's funny.
Couldn't find anything about what we were talking about. Anyways, so yeah, so they're doing a ritual. It looks very much like the women who danced in first season for the ritual of the Cragnadan. Cragnadoon. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like they're trying to go into the stones. It just seems like it's like a ritual they do where they make a sacrifice of a chicken.
But the girls who were dancing, were they trying to go into the
I don't think
the
so.
stones necessarily? It seemed like it was just like a ritual dance, and I loved that they overlapped the two dancing movements, because as they were dancing, I started thinking, I was like, wow, that looks like the dancing, except with a little bit more gyrating.
Actually, it does make sense, because didn't Galis have that dance happen like when she was trying to make a sacrifice to go back? She did. There's something about the sacrifice first season that called for her to ask the woman to come out and dance, but she ended up not going through the stones that time.
Yeah.
I think is what happened. She ended up getting caught as a witch. I think that's what happened. If I'm wrong, you can definitely speak up in the chat. But so I guess maybe that was Galis. Maybe those were her slaves, and she was having them do the ritual so she could go through the portal.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I think that, I mean, Claire obviously figured that out too as she was watching. So I kind of felt like even though they weren't right at the stones where she was, I thought they maybe were close enough where Galis thought that's what they were. Because she still doesn't seem to get the fact that she doesn't need to do all that stuff.
Yeah. I liked that Claire explained it, that she's like, it's something that pulls you to go through. You don't need to sacrifice anyone. Nobody needs to start dancing for you. You just have to have something that pulls you through. And maybe Galis doesn't have anything pulling her through, and maybe that's why she feels like she has to do it.
She's killed everybody that would love her.
Anyone that would, yeah. Oh, God. She's so crazy, you guys. Anyways, so we get to the ritual, and we run into Mr. Willoughby and Mrs. Margaret Campbell, who are now in love. We're going to run away
I loved that.
to Martinique. How did you guys feel about that scene in terms of just, like, we get to see the Campbells one last time, Mr. Willoughby gets to go, like, crazy and kill somebody? It was insane.
There's a lot of killing
Justifiably,
tonight.
though.
Justifiably.
Yeah. I loved that scene because I felt like Margaret finally didn't have to deal with her brother anymore. And obviously that was what was making her really crazy. Was just dealing with him, not
And
her.
the laudanum he was giving her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was so interesting to hear her speak normally, I guess, you know, because we hadn't really seen that before. I don't think we'd ever seen her kind of, it seemed like she was just a regular person at that point, where in the past she was so medicated and so angry and all this kind of stuff. So I loved seeing that. I was glad that Mr. Willoughby killed her brother. So I was like,
Yeah, me too.
And then they used him as part of their ritual.
Yeah.
I love that he said, she sees me and I see her. And that's when I lost it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a romance novel. And I love, and it's so cute. And especially because, you know, they're not the young spring chickens who have to spend, you know, their entire lives together. They're of a certain age, and they found each other, and they're now happy to go settle down and build their own life together for forever. And I mean, it's been 8 hours maybe, like you know, a couple hours, and if even. So it's just great to see that they could find that and get to go off. And I'm glad that we got to say goodbye to Mr. Willoughby in a sense of getting him to see his happy ending. And even though he didn't, you know, he didn't get to finish his book, he had to sacrifice his book on the ship, and now he's getting this new chapter of love in his life.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. And you know, at the start of the season when they introduced him and they introduced her, never in my mind did I imagine that those two would run off together. But it's really sweet to see it, and to just have a small little romance happen for, like, I think this season's really been about small little romances happening for other people too, and them finding their true loves and everything. And I was like, oh, my little heart, it beats for this.
Yeah, like even Fergus too.
Even Fergus, exactly. And it's always kind of like they do a really good job of making it unexpected. I'm very surprised by the romances that have been popping up. Is there any stuff in the chat?
Yeah, we do have we have a lot of comments. That's really awesome. So Heidi Sesenak says, but it sounds like you don't get to go more than a certain number of times through the portal. Then we have Linda D. Cristoforo. Love Margaret. The attention to BK Raiders a wink to Bree, calling to her father and mother, didn't catch it at first.
Oh, yeah, that
that
she
was-
was doing the voice.
That
Yeah.
scared me.
that was
Yeah, it was
a little-
terrifying.
Yeah, I kind
So
of
it's like,
figured that's what was happening.
I
though.
figured it was like, is Bree talking to them? Is
Yeah.
something wrong with her? And then
It
she's
helped that the subtitle said American accent. I was like, oh, okay.
And then Rosalvo Cardiel says they do the ritual during certain times of the year. In the book was during Beltane, and then the show they did it during Samhain, Halloween, to open the portals. Nella, Jay, John Gray Slade, and then one of the final comments we have is Rosalvo Cardiel. In the books, Margaret goes and lives with the slaves.
Oh, okay. That's cool then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we finally, this is the point where when they get to Galus in the cave, I paused it because I went to go get some tea. And I was like,
oh, me too.
I still, yeah.
Not for tea, but I paused
Yeah.
it right there.
I was like, we still have 30 more minutes of this episode.
Yeah. Same thing too.
What?
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be the end. We were like,
know.
okay, like this is the big battle,
Yeah.
and then, you know, and then
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I thought the same thing. I watched it last night at like 2 a.m. Well, it was like finishing at 2, and I was like, wait, what time is it? Because there's like half an hour left.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening here?
Exactly.
then we get to the ship, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there we go. Now I know what's
But
happening.
as we were approaching Galus and Claire says we're close, I can hear the humming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted so desperately for Jamie to say, I hear it too.
I know.
I just want him to hear the freaking hums
yeah.
so bad so
Yeah.
he can go back with her.
Yeah.
And so far it's not happening. So maybe third time will be the charm. I don't know.
I want
maybe-
them to go into the future, too.
If it's something where it has to be something pulling you, then maybe eventually he will hear it. Because at the same time, when she went through the stones the first time, you know, it was to save herself, and he had stuff to do there. But if he has nothing to do here, like he never went back to the stones after she went through that first time. Who's to say that when she went through that first time, that maybe he couldn't have gone, you know, after a few years when he was a little bit more
Yeah,
settled.
'cause, I mean,
Yeah.
we did talk about last week about how he, you know, in the season 1, the seeing of him outside of, or who
Yeah.
you assume is him, which
The ghost.
apparently we'll find out in the last book what that was all about.
So we won't
so-
be here, you guys, when that happens. But follow us on Twitter, and we'll talk about it in about
20
7
years.
years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. It just kind of sucks. But, also, I wanted to say a quick note before we move on. I realize some people are frustrated that we don't read the books on the show. We don't read the books because we don't want to be spoiled, because we enjoy the show, and we're here to talk about the show. Eventually, I think all of us will get to reading the books. It's also a very long running book series.
We're very behind.
I'm about 20 years behind. So we appreciate all the comments about it, and we love hearing, you know, the differences, but at the same time, we don't want to spoil it for people who just watch the show like we do, because this is focused on the show and what happens in the show. If you have any interest in, maybe they might do an Outlander series on Book Circle Online, where they do go and they talk about books. But unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to, at least not this panel, going to catch up in time to read the books as we're reading, or read the books as we're watching the show, just because our focus is to be able to do predictions and enjoy the show as it is without any influence from the books. So I apologize, but that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so back. So we get into the cave, and Hercules is there. Poor Hercules. Oh, man. He could just walk away at that point. Like, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do to you? She's jumping into the future, my friend. But
He probably doesn't realize that, though.
yeah. But she's got the picture that she's burned for some reason. She's
I
like
was like, what
circled
was
it.
that?
Yeah. And so we
Felt
get
like she was trying to make sure she's channeling to go to the right.
Yeah.
right
She like
moment.
cut it down so it was like just bring
Yeah,
it
she's
up.
okay.
just her to focus on her to get to that point, and when she's this age, and not jump back to before she's born or
Yeah.
anything like that.
So
That's how I took it.
But yeah, so we had that moment where we kind of get to see like the future fulfilled. How did you guys feel about that in terms of seeing Claire do the blow that creates the skull that they find in the future?
I mean, we've been talking about it all season that we knew it was connected somehow to, you know, the cave and just the way Claire handled it, being like, okay, whose head is that? Who was it? And, you know, someone tried to cut her head off.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, no, no way that could have been Claire who did that.
Yeah, right?
And then voila, it's Claire.
And it's so funny too because she looks so different in the future, well, in the 60s versus how she looks in the past, like, you know, in this time period. So she just I don't know, like it was interesting seeing that scene all over again where she's looking at the bones and just how different and more serious she looks. And then we cut back and it's like, oh no, she's happier now.
Right.
Yeah.
I liked that connection that they made, how she realized like she was having that like flashback of, you know, what had happened. And that wasn't something that I was expecting. Like we said, that she was going to be the one that was going to behead Galus or try to behead Galus. But did you guys catch, I don't know how you felt about it, but that moment where she's like drawn into the humming? Did anyone have like a Lord of the Rings moment? Like, with like, you know, I was like, oh, it's like the Lord of the Rings. Look at the ring. Like, he can't, like, oh, he's like, you know, wants to go in so bad. But I like that scene.
No, I thought that was really cool that, because we've never seen that in terms of with Cracknadun. With her, of like being drawn to it, but you could tell she really, and I was like, oh man, is something happening to Brie? Is there a reason why she's like feeling like she needs to go back? But yeah, I was so shocked that the blow came from Claire and that it was strong enough for them to assume in the future that somebody was trying to cut her head off. That means that's like straight up like mama strength right there.
That is mom strength.
Like, it was a machete, yes, and machetes are terrifying, but at the same time,
to the force needed to cut
she broke her neck.
Break the neck and like get the head off, do a full beheading is so astronomical that the pure strength and energy it takes, and you know that even Claire's face was all mom, just you shall not she's protecting her daughter at any cost. And part of me was confused it for a second because I thought that she had maybe missed and pushed her into the portal. And then I saw her on the ground. I was like, oh no, that's gonna leave a scar.
I thought they were both gonna fall into the portal together.
Me too.
I was like, oh no. Like,
I thought Claire was gonna go. Like I did not think that Claire was gonna stay. I thought that was it. I thought someone was going in that portal.
I thought Jamie was going. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But
what will happen if you go? Especially because that's a water portal. It's not like you have to touch a rock. What would have happened if would he just like swim and swim like that?
He's like in the pool. Everyone else is like,
that would have been hilarious. Anyways, that's like fan fiction that we can write.
And then when she was, back to when she was like drawn into the humming, when he reaches out and touches her hand and she pops out of it, I got a tingle in my spine of wow, that is the power that these two have. The connection that they have. But just a simple hand touch.
And she's okay.
I want love like
Jamie, where are you? Come through the portal, Jamie.
Come through the portal. Come to me, Jamie.
We have a couple of really interesting comments.
Cool.
So Heidi Sassenach asked the question, I still don't understand why the Dr. Abernathy was so fascinated with the skull. And someone answered, Mary Brown says, because they determined the skull was 200 years old, but the bones were healthy like a modern woman's bones. That's why they were studying them.
There we go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That makes sense. Because I had the same question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we get back on the boat.
The boat.
Yeah.
And we're
with 23 minutes left.
Yes.
Right.
Headed back to Scotland.
Just like, what's going to happen?
I was like, what?
A 15-minute sex scene.
And it was a 15-minute sex scene. And it was sweet.
It was nice.
It was honestly the sweetest sex scene that I've ever seen.
It was a very sensual moment.
Yeah, and it was really
there wasn't
funny.
a lot of actual sex. It was like the build up, and I was nervous and like sweating. And,
Right?
Oh my gosh, this is like the most. Yes, Jamie.
Yeah, and we get bearded Jamie. Hopefully, season 4 bearded Jamie, but not crazy beard, like sexy beard.
Sexy beard.
Yeah.
Sexy beard.
So no, it was really sweet because you can tell that they just have history because he's like talking about like all her little squeaks and noises and everything. She's like, I don't do that. He's like, yeah, you do.
And I was like, yeah, you do. I've heard it.
Yeah. We've all heard
We've
how
all
you,
heard you,
how
Claire.
you get down, Claire. And so we had that really sweet moment. What? Oh, go ahead.
Heidi Sassenach, boom chicka wow wow.
And so it was a really sweet moment. And usually when they do that kind of stuff, you know that things aren't going to go well in like the next 5 minutes. And sure enough, they get some really bad waters, aka the perfect storm. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that movie slash book.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
It's depressing.
It's really sad. But yeah, they end up in the storm, and I was like, oh yeah, there was no like weather monitoring back then. You couldn't just be like, you know what?
Check that app.
There's a hurricane on the way, guys. Let's just sit it out a few days.
A couple episodes ago, John Gray said that the reason why Willie didn't come was they were waiting to come when the weather wasn't as like temperamental and less
John Gray knows
easier
what's
to
up.
travel.
Yeah.
So they should have been listening to John Gray. I mean, you
should've.
got the kid back. What's the rush to get back home?
Exactly.
And also, when they landed, though, they the colonist, I forget his name, he actually, well, when they got to Georgia, he even said, yeah, we don't usually have crazy weather like this time of year. So there's that, and I mean, it's obviously it's not like hurricane season the way that he's making it sound.
But they were in a hurricane because when they do that pan out after they've become shipwrecked, you see it like, oh yeah, they're actually in the eye of the storm, which is like cute, but you know they'd
Terrifying.
be dead, you guys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So this is the moment when Claire gets up there and she's like, "I'm the surgeon. I have to help." I was like, "No, Claire, no, you don't. Not right now. Like, you don't.
No, I know.
How
They'll
are you
come
gonna
down to
surgeon
you.
right now? Let them come down."
Yeah, what are you going to do right now?
Yeah.
Stay down there.
That's what I was wondering.
I couldn't believe it. And so she goes up, and of course, in the he sends everyone down, and the last two up there, and a big wave, and they look at each other, and then she's gone.
It was so dramatic.
She's gone.
They're like staring at each other.
Yeah.
Big wave. And
They didn't really get to stare. She like looks over at him. He looks over, and as he's about to look at her, she's gone. And so she's floating in the water, and she's dead, as she narrates. And I see a little figure coming towards her, and that's that moment when I went, "This is a romance novel."
yeah. Like how?
Yeah.
Because she would be dead, or he would be dead.
Yeah.
He would not be able to find her.
No.
In the middle of the ocean like that. And the darkness of the sea.
Yeah.
And then
It was a very bright ocean.
It was a
It
very
was.
bright
It
ocean.
was clear, so
Yes.
that's how I knew we were still in the
It was
Caribbean.
calm.
It was calm all of a
calm.
sudden. Like, there were no sharks just swimming through being like, yum, food or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how sharks work, you guys. Maybe they wouldn't be there, but at the same
Sharknado is not happening.
But yeah, it was I was like, this is so far from realistic
Yeah.
that it kind of pulls me out for a bit, but I'm also just here for Claire and Jamie, so
Yes,
I don't really care
same,
that much.
same.
But yeah,
Because I know that there's 18 more books, so she's not dead.
she's
Right,
not dead.
right.
He's
So-
not dead.
I know that she's surviving this no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my impression. I feel like we all felt the same way. Is that correct?
Yeah.
and that kiss, I was like, what is he
Okay,
doing?
it
Like,
wasn't a kiss
wasn't a
though.
kiss.
It was he was blowing
He was
air
giving
into
her
her
air.
lungs. Because they did it in Hook,
Yeah.
the movie, when Robin Williams first gets back, he's down in the water and the mermaids come up and they keep blowing air into his mouth to
And they
keep
do
him
it in
underwater.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
But that only works if you have gills. Okay? The mermaids could do it because they were gilled. They're fish
he
people.
was also underwater for a long
Yeah.
time, so I'm not sure how much air he would
That's
have
the
Exactly.
thing.
theoretically had for
We
her.
learned that you can only go without oxygen earlier in the season for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So he would have, and that's a big ocean. That was a long swim, okay? But
Yeah, and she's being tied down. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to cut the.
that also only works if they are awake to breathe back in. So he's like basically just losing all his air. It was frustrating, but nonetheless, I digress. They made it. She survived.
Then he just sits there letting her hang him. Are you gonna try and get more air into her lungs now that she's
Yeah.
above water?
Yeah.
No?
Like
we didn't teach you
CPR?
this? You haven't been watching her over the last 10 years that you
Yeah.
guys have. You never picked up on any tricks here?
Yeah.
And then she passes out. All right, no, he passes out, and they end up on land. Very convenient. Again, still right near, close enough to her to find her. Very convenient. She's alive. Wakes up, doesn't cough up water. I was like, well, maybe she coughed it up, and he wasn't there to see it. I was
That's
like,
probably
okay.
what happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so that's when we discovered they've made it to America.
Yay, which is all I wanted.
Yeah.
All I wanted was for them to get to America where Murtaugh is still alive.
I know. Oh my God, Murtaugh, where are you?
The Return of Murtaugh, yeah.
Yes.
But I also feel like when they go around to find the other people, that somebody's going to be dead.
Yeah.
So it's either Ian, it's either Fergus, or Fergus's lady, whose name I've forgotten at this moment.
Yeah.
We know which one of those three. I'm okay with it. Bye, Felicia.
You know? So, yeah, I think it's safe to say we lost somebody in this round. But
There's no way that they didn't.
Yeah, someone's out.
I would hope they wouldn't break up Fergus and his lady that soon. What's her name? Someone help me.
Marisol?
Oh, good. Yeah.
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 I was like Leary's daughter, but
Yeah.
That hoe's daughter. That's how I refer to her.
Marcelly.
Marcelly. There we go.
I was close.
Sorry, guys. There was a lot to digest.
There was a lot going on,
I forgot
okay? There was a lot
one
going on.
name.
I did my research this time.
Yeah. Forgot one name this episode. So that's a great way to kind of start it off, and we'll get to see them. I'm like, oh no, I'm like, yay, America, but oh, we gotta deal with more slavery.
Seriously, right? And then I loved how the family comes over and like, oh yeah, you're in the colony of Georgia, and Jamie and Claire are still just
embrace.
Embrace, and it looked like they were about to get it on. I'm like, there is a child right there. Maybe you guys could look at the people and say, hey, you got any bread and water? I'm kind of hungry.
I like how they weren't that concerned.
They weren't
I was like, what? Like these people, you just found these people on the beach.
Yeah, and then they just cruise, and they're like, okay, see ya.
Okay, looks like they want to get it on the sand. I'm gonna just continue my morning stroll.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Your people on the other side. Good luck.
4 miles that way.
4 miles that way.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So we have not gotten to the Revolutionary War yet, and they've just landed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no more war. I'm so tired.
But Claire needs to be a doctor again.
Yes.
In battle.
And we need to find Murtaugh, so I don't even care what happens as long as Murtaugh comes back.
Yeah, I guess. We're just gonna have a bunch of historical figures popping up and speaking in weird accents.
Alexander Hamilton.
I like that.
That would be awesome.
That they didn't give the Americans an American accent.
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Because the original Americans, the original colonizers, would not have American accents. Whenever I see some type of Mel Gibson BS Patriot kind of crap, and they have a standard American accent, or British, or like a weird, like hybrid modern British accent, I get really upset.
It would also depend where you live, too.
Exactly.
And it wasn't quite, like, there yet.
Yeah, she had like a Scottish type accent, and he had some type of other weird accent. So I appreciated that. Thank you. Thank you. Need that.
Historical accuracy.
Yeah.
Is important.
Boom.
So I guess that wraps up this episode. Like, do you guys want to try out for season 4 predictions?
Oh, I thought you meant, do I want to try out for season 4? And I was like,
yes,
absolutely. We're in America. I mean,
listen,
I would have to play a slave, but I'll do that. Like, I'm free.
What you need, I'm here for you.
Sorry, Master. I didn't mean to burn chicken, Master. I'll do it.
I'll definitely be Claire's handmaiden. If you need somebody, I'm available. You can call my manager. It's ESI Network, and my agent is Aqua Talent. Give them a call, Starz.
Yes.
I've already worked for you before on Boss. Okay. So no, yeah, but let's just try.
Let's try and predict some
Sorry,
stuff.
we're just feeling goofy. It's the last episode. Let's try for predictions, season 4.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So of course, Jamie and Brianna have to meet at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do think that something with this whole prophecy of the 200-year-old baby still needs something sort of to happen with that.
Yeah.
So I do think we'll get Brianna back in season 4, but I think in the vein of Harry Potter, prophecies aren't always exactly what you think. You kind of choose the person, and I think that Galus has chosen Brianna, but that's not necessarily the right 200-year-old baby.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know something from reading ahead. Like I haven't read the books, but I've read a summary, so I don't want to say that.
Yeah, no spoilers.
But I think something is definitely going to happen with them and the war. That's my prediction, just because I know it's like that general time period, and it would kind of be strange if it didn't happen and affect them. And I think that they're gonna find a whole set of problems living in America right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
gonna
so
be
many
a whole
reasons.
new scene for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want them to find Murtaugh. Everybody. That's what I've been saying since the very first episode of this season. That's all I really want.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to have, I'm sure, different struggles and their Jamie and Claire way, you know, that they always fall into. And I'm kind of excited to see the different like historical aspects that are coming, just with like building of the colonies, I guess, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just want Murtaugh. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I think they should just go straight to Canada. To be it's not Canada yet. It's not there yet, but like, yeah, just
Just go there.
Keep going north.
America's crazy. You know?
Yeah, still is.
It hasn't changed. Just skip it. Just go like, you know what? Claire already knows. Claire already knows. Just go.
I'm also wondering where there's another of the rock formations. Like, is there going to be one in America as well? And where? Like Vermont? New Hampshire?
Yeah. Hey, you know,
I don't know.
One of those colonies is going to have it. So yeah, I think I'll be excited to see how they interact with everyone. Like with like, they're definitely going to have more people of color because it's. America was crazy back then. It was crazy now. But so I'm excited to see them kind of introduce all these new characters.
Yeah.
And what was that face?
I just figured it out where it is in America, guys.
Where?
Plymouth Rock is the portal.
Yes.
Plymouth Rock.
It probably will be
It's
Plymouth
Plymouth
Rock.
Rock. It's
It
gotta
probably
be.
will be.
So they will be going to Massachusetts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where they're gonna be. That makes sense. That actually makes sense. All right, guys. I think that wraps up this season of the Outlander After
It's
Show.
been so much fun, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah,
Come
same
back next
time.
year, same time. 2018. We'll be back. Hopefully it'll be the same panel. If not, you guys, it's always been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure seeing you all, working with everyone. Where can everyone find everyone? Rachel.
So I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Rach Goodman, or on Instagram or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman. I also host the Young and the Restless AfterBuzz talk show. So if anyone loves soaps, you can find me on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Good job. I'm Tiona Hobson. You can find me at the Tiona Hobson, and I'm also on the Flash After Show here at AfterBuzz TV Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. I forget. And CW Weekly Thursdays at 8 p.m.
I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at OMG. It's MLE.
And I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. I also do the Magicians after show coming back in January, the Black Mirror after show coming back in January. Oh, God. And I'll be here for the Doctor Who Christmas special on January 2nd, if you didn't already know. We're coming back. Yeah, I'm in like a lot of shows in January. I'm kind of upset about that. Anyways, but excited at the same time. It's been so wonderful this season, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're not going to see you next week, but hey, I still want you to stay sexy. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.